Hi everybody, I'd like to do another micro interaction tutorial with you in Adobe XD. So click my little house, yeah, it goes up and then it comes down. I've got a chat, goes up and down, and if I check my plus, click my plus menu, it goes up, and if I click it again, it comes down, and a little alarm and my profile, and very easy. Okay, so I'm going to take you through the steps of how we need to do this. You see, we have a few artboards in Adobe XD, but let's just start by going into Illustrator. So I've chosen the iPhone X here as well. Then I'm going to go to View, and I am going to show my grid. Now, if you use a grid, it's always good to first go to Preferences and check the actual grid size. So check how big are your subdivisions. In this case, I'm using 10 and grid line every 100 pixels. And in that case, it kind of helps me to just work a little bit more orderly. Okay, so I'm also going to draw a box, a rectangle, so that I know exactly how big this is going to be. My width I'm going to make 120, and my height I'm going to make 135, and I'm obviously going to take off my fill, and then I'm just going to put it here. And because my snap to grid is on, if I now just alt drag it, they will snap very nicely to a grid, and then don't have to worry about the alignment in Illustrator too much, because we're actually going to realign it inside of XD. All right, but let's start. I'm going to draw my little house first. So I'm just going to draw the bottom part. Now, the nice thing about if you draw on the grid, what you can see is how many pixels are you from the side. So in that case, it does actually help to use a grid. And then I'm going to draw my little roof. And again, because snap to grid is on, then I kind of know that I am in the middle. So if I just select this, accept the block, then I can go to my stroke palette, and I'm going to just make it 2 points. Also going to make a rounded corner and rounded cap. All right. So I'm using this guide as well. So I don't want to go higher than that. Okay. So now I'm going to do my little chat. And as I say, here it's nice if you do actually draw with your snap to a grid on, because then you know that you kind of stay inside. So I'm going to move this one up. I'm going to my little ellipse. I'm going to use my scissor tool, and I'm just going to cut a piece of it off. Sorry, you just got to really be on that path for it to work. And then I'm going to add, so P, I'm going to add, nope, let's just select that point. Oh dear. Okay, I'm going to take the snap to pixel and snap to grid off for now. So on my P, I'm just going to add this little talky bit. And what we can do, if it didn't continue, is always go into the Y mode and then just move your points together. And what we can actually do is we can just join them. Okay, so there they are. And then what we want to do, let's just check this curve. This curve's a bit wonky. What we want to do is, again, stay in the same grid, and make sure that your corners are all correct. Okay, so that's my little chat. I might want to just push this one out a little bit. Okay, next is, looks like a little bit like a platypus, but anyway, let's just move that down. Okay, All right. Next is my little alarm. So on the alarm, I'm going to start with an ellipse as well. Make sure again that you on your guide, on your grid. And I'm just going to just enlarge this a little bit. And I'm going to cuss from back to cut that bottom part a little bit straighter. So use a rectangle, select both, go to your Pathfinder palette, second option, cut from back, and there you have it. Okay, I'm just going to move this one down. Also going to add to that a ellipse at the top. And I'm actually just going to alt drag 2. You'll understand in a little bit. So because all my ellipses I want exactly the same. So I'm going to move that up. And then again, I'm going to use my scissors to just cut a piece off that I don't want. This bottom piece, don't need it. That's great. Okay, so now I can go in and I'm just going to add a point here. Shift C is my convert to point tool, and because I want a curve, so once I add my curve handles, then I get this, and then we can just ease it out a little bit. Okay, now I also want a little bit of a points here, so I'm going to move that one and just ease it out. Going to move bottom right and ease it out. Again, if you stay on your grid, then you can do quite a good job of drawing very quickly. All right, so now I'm going to just, I'll drag this one, the top little ellipse part, and I'm going to use my reflect tool. I'm going to reflect it on the horizontal axis, say okay, there I have it, and I'm now going to also rotate this a little bit, and then I'm going to cut a piece off. So again, use your scissors tool just to cut pieces off, and maybe just move it slightly down. All right, now we're a little bit too low, so maybe what we need to do is just to scale our little bell in a little bit so that we can move our bottom part up, and maybe also our circle there could be a bit smaller there at the top. Okay, we're getting there. Now we can just cut another piece. And maybe just rotate this a little bit more. I'll just cut another little piece there. Okie dokie. All right. And then next is our little profile, and that's why I I'll drag one, so that I'll drag an ellipse so that we stay with the same ellipse. If we made it smaller, and then we're just going to use exactly the same one. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to paste that back onto my profile, and then again I'm going to use ellipse. This one we can delete now. Going to use an ellipse. Make sure that your intersect is on, and you might want to drag this down. Now you can use an ellipse, or you can use a rounded rectangle, whatever you feel is best. Going to use my rectangle to subtract again, and then I'm going to open it. So again, if you want to open it, you just want to use your scissors, and you just want to actually click on these two bottom nodes, and then you can press delete. And there is my 4 little icons. So my house, I'm actually just going to bring those points down a little bit, open it up so that your openings also have to kind of like look similar. All right, so once you're happy with that, then we can move across. All right, so in XD, I'm going to make a new document. Again, I'm going to use iPhone X. Now, what I'm going to do is just for a look and feel, I'm just going to call this home. I'm actually just going to bring in an iPhone vector that I found on FreePick. Thank you, FreePick. And I'm just going to group that, copy it, and place it, just so that it kind of looks like we are moving into a work in an actual iPhone. So just for fancy smanchy reasons. Okay. All right, so now I'm also going to save this document, save it on computer, and save it just as micro interactions. And I've made quite a few, so I'm just going to call this 5. All right, before I'm going to bring my icons in, I'm just saving this, and I'm also going to actually lock this. All right, and then here at the bottom, I'm going to just draw myself a bottom bar for my menu. I'm taking down the border, and I'm going to fill it with a kind of a bluish grayish color. Bluish grayish color, and then I'm also going to do a bit of a rounded edge. Now if you move it, then you can see you must turn it obviously under until your edges looks correct, because you don't want a little bit of white there, but you also you don't want your sides to pop up, so it's a little bit tricky, so you just got to play a little bit. So that okay, let's just do that 35. That's fine for now. Okay. All right, I'm going to just drag this up, and then I'm going to cut from back. So I'm just going to, again, use my rectangle tool, and same in XD, I can use subtract. Now, the thing about this is that it's this weird subtraction path. So what you want to do, you want to right click on that object, and you want to say path, and you want to actually convert it to paths. Okay, so it's very similar to Photoshop. When you do any subtractions or with the Pathfinder palette, you can create some weird paths, and that you don't want. Okay. All right, so the next step that we're going to do is we are going to actually bring in those icons that we did in Illustrator, but without the boxes. So I'm just going to copy that across, bring it in here, and we are just going to scale them. And you see 2 works fine. So I'm going to scale them even down a little bit, and then we're going to ungroup them, and then we can start to save them. Now, the big thing about micro interactions inside of XD is that every single object that is going to link to another object must be the same name. So home and home tab must be exactly the same name. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Number 1, write it down so that you don't forget. The tab and the, let's call it the hover, or the one that's going to interact with that tab, needs to be exactly the same name, even if they look different. Number 1. Number 2 is that you can't have ellipses. They must all be paths. So I am just going to click on it. I'm going to go path and convert to path. You can group objects, not a problem, or you can group paths. So these 2 for a profile, I'm going to group, and I'm going to actually just call it profile. But they just have to be all paths. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Or no, it works, but you're going to have problems. So on the alarm, I'm selecting my 3 paths. They all are paths. I'm grouping it and I'm calling it alarm. Alarm spelled correctly. Right, and my chat, again, that is a path, so I'm just going to group it, and that is chat. And then my 2 for home, and I'm going to group that, and that is home. Okay, all right. Going to call that home. Right, fantastic. Next is we are going to select all of them, and then I'm going to obviously make them a color that I want. In this case, I've chosen to do like a really nice bright orange. So I'll just plus it, and now we can space them out. So there's something going to be in the middle, so that's why this can be a bit smaller. So that's why I want this kind of like gap in the middle. Okay, once you're happy with that, now you can start to make new artboards. Okay, so I'm just going to alt drag this one. This is going to be a home tab. Okay, and you're going to have a home tab. Alt drag, you're going to have a chat tab. Okay, and then you're going to have a, yes, correct, an alarm tab. Okay, and then you're going to have a profile tab. Okay, profile tab. Okay, so now we can start and we can do the tab version. So first of all, I'm going to double click, not ungroup, just click inside of the home, and then I'm going to change that little roof. Okay, and I'm going to move it slightly out. And this whole icon I am moving up. Okay, and I'm changing it into a different color, and this time I'm using kind of a nice bright purple. And I'm going to plus it. Okay, so this is the home. Now you can add things to it as well. I mean, you can add a dot to it. Just remember, it must be a path. You can add a line underneath it. Whatever you feel like. Okay. Next one is going to be my my chat. So again, this is going to change to the purple. I am going to, in this case, just rotate it. So I'm just hovering over so I can see my rotate, and then I am moving it up. All right. Okay, next one is going to be my alarm. So I'm changing it to the purple. I am rotating it, and I am moving it up. All right, next one is going to be my profile. So again, I'm going to click in here, double click. I'm going to move my little head up. Okay. And again, all of this I'm going to select, and don't ungroup it. Don't ungroup it, just go inside. All right, and I'm also going to hover a little bit, and I am moving her up. Okay, all right, so now we've got our main home, which nothing has been tapped, and then all the others that's been tapped. And you can also check that you're maybe not too high. I'm just going to move my profile down. Okay, so now we can start with the interactions, and this becomes fairly complicated, so just got to concentrate with me. So I'm going to go to prototype. So home goes to home tab, correct? Okay, all the homes must go to home tab. So as you go from one artboard to the other, you must change them. But what is it going to be? So first things first, once you created your first, just make sure that it is correct. So it's a tab, yes, it's not a transition, it's an auto animate. Goes to home tab. I'm going to use ease in and out, and I'm going to use a 0.6. All right, and I'm just going to save this. So again, if I click on home, the tapped version, I'm going to go back. Okay, now double check if it still is the same. Yes, it is. And now you can start with all the homes must go obviously to home tab. All right, always double check if your interaction stayed the same, because you don't want to inadvertently have to come back. So all the homes must go, the normal ones must go to home tab. All right, happy with that? I'm going to save it. All right, on your first home, your chat is going to your chat tab. chat tab is going to go back to home. All right. All the other chats must also go to chat tab. And again, you just want to make sure that they are indeed all still the same. All right, they are all auto animate, they are all 0.6, and they ease in and out. All right, next. My alarm is going to go to alarm tab. Okay. And all the other alarms is going to alarm tab, but alarm tab is going to go back to home. All right. Okay, so second board, home tab's alarm also obviously go to alarm tab, and so on and so forth. So always double check if you have done it, because sometimes we lose one and then we have to go back. So chat. All right, home. Yes. Profile, same story on home. Goes to profile tab, and then on profile tab, its profile go back to home. And all the other profiles obviously go to profile tab as well. So you can just select, profile goes there. Second chat tab, profile goes there, and so on and so forth. All right, so now we can check it. So I'm going to go back to home and I'm just going to press my play button and let's see what we're going to get. There, yes, and there they jump. And if I click back, they go, and alarm goes up, and click back, alarm goes down, and she goes up and she goes down. And so we can, yay, we can see what our micro interactions has done. And it is super cool. I love it. Okay, so we're halfway there. I'm going to go back to design. We're going to do our little menu there in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to draw a circle, an ellipse, and this time no border, but I'm going to do a fill of kind of a jade. Jade is my favorite. Let's just plus that so we have it. Okay. Now on this, I am going to draw a line for my plus. I'm going to make it 3, in fact, not opacity. I sometimes wonder why this actually happens. See, it's just the weirdest thing. It is the weirdest thing. All right, rounded caps. I'm going to choose a white. Okay, and in fact, I am going to right click and say path, convert to paths, because I do not actually want a line. Then I'm going to control D it or command D, and I'm going to change it to 90 degrees. And not 9, but let's just see what's happened here. 90. Oops, I didn't do duplicate now. Control D and 90. All right. Okay, so now we can actually group these two, and I'm actually going to call this group, let's do it, menu. The back ellipse, I'm going to right click and I'm going to say convert to path. All right, very important. But I'm going to leave, leave that, but I will call path 26 a circle. All right, now I know it's just a path because there's a little pen there. All right, so I'm going to alt drag, oopsie, I'm going to alt drag it. I'm going to make it a bit smaller. And I'm going to alt drag another one. All right, so in here, I'm going to quickly draw a tag. So my first one is going to be a tag. So I'm just going to go and draw a tag. Now, what is nice is that we have a natural kind of a snap in XD. So that's quite cool. So it is going to be 2 points and rounded corners and rounded caps. And it is going to be white. All right, and we are kind of happy with that. We just place it in the middle. Let it snap. Okay, I'm going to draw a heart, but the heart I'm actually going to draw in Illustrator because it's actually quicker for me to draw Illustrator, and because I have this beautiful grid, it kind of like helps me to draw a heart a little bit better. So I'm just going to draw the heart like that. Also because I can smooth out in um, out in Illustrator that I'm not as good in not as good a drawer in XD yet. Okay, to be honest. Okay. All right, so then we can take this path, we can go to our reflect tool. I love this. We can go on to vertical and we can say copy, and now we have another path. Yay. And can just move it into place. And now what we can do is just Control J on the points and we have a shape. All right, okay, great. So now I can copy this heart into XD. It's going to be very big, but that's fine. And we're going to make it smaller, and we're going to make it 2 is fine. We can actually still go and drag this point here at the bottom. If we click inside, drag this point out a little bit. And in fact, we can still make it look good. Still make it look good. Whoopsie. All right. Okay, happy with that. And we're going to make that white. Yes, I'm going to make it white and just make sure that we put it in the middle. So I'm just going to use my little intersect snap. It looks fine. Not fine. Okay. All right, next. Let's save this. So these two is going to be grouped and they're going to be tag. Now both it's going to be a path and a circle, so that's all good. Tag is a path plus the circle is also a path. I'm going to group it and that is tag. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm first going to copy this to my and make another home. Okay, and this time I am calling it menu. Menu? No, menu. Menu, Anka, menu. All right. So if I go back to my, oh, sorry. And this circle here, in fact, I'm going to, let's just do that. I'm going to do a purple. And in fact, these two lines, which somehow now one is not 100, this menu I'm now going to turn 90 degrees. So if I just go hover over, I want it across. So let's just save. Okay, now we're going to go back to home. Now the fun's going to start. So I'm going to take my tag and I'm going to make it really tiny. Please do not do anything. Don't change fills. Don't change the size of the borders. Just take the opacity down. All right, and move that. And if you can't see it, just move it with your arrows down. Okay, same with the I'm just going to call this tag. That's going to be a problem, so we'll have to do that like. All right, this heart can't be tag as well. It has to be like. So I'm going to make that really small and again take the opacity down and move it down. Just remember we have to do this, the like on the other menu as well. Okay, before we continue. So I'm going to save this. So if I go here, this one is going to be like. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Okay, so if we go to prototype, now what we're going to do is if I click on this circle is going to go to menu. Double check again. Tap auto animate menu, ease in and out, 0.6 seconds. Fantastic. If I click on the purple circle, all right, okay, so circle to circle, then this is going to go back to home. All right, so let's see if that actually works. Click, boom, boom. Love it. As easy as that. And now we just got to work on our functionality on this one. on our last menu page. So we'll just make sure that all of our tabs are connected. On our last page. And save. And if we do a last check. Okay, so now last thing that we need to do is we take this home element in design, this home element, all right, and we are going to copy that on all the other artboards, because all of them must have exactly the same behavior. And then we can double check in our prototype if that works. All our green circles must go to menu. And then it will work. So all our green circles, this one just goes there. All right, so we can double check. Yay! Fun and games, micro interactions in Adobe XD. Really, really simple. Just keep your head about it. Just remember a few things. All the elements must have exactly the same name. So even if it's a tab option, if it looks different, the two home and home tab needs to communicate with each other. And if you want things to pop out, just make them smaller and change the opacity and hide them. All right, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed it. See you soon. Thank you. Bye.